Back again. How we doing, man?
Doing great. Doing great. Another another brick, right? Was busting it down. Another day. Another dollar.
That's right. Another brick on the wall.
Yep.
What we got today, man? Lot happening on in the news. We just had the Worldwide Developers Conference. Apple, taking the shine there. A lot of releases. What's your favorite that you saw? You get a chance to watch it?
yeah. I definitely watched some of it. Yeah, there was a lot of cool features, a lot of things that caught my eye. Um, it's kind of it's kind of weird because a lot of these different features are things that you would think were already built into that ecosystem or OS. Um, and as someone who always is quick to update to whatever beta or what developer software they have at the moment, for me, though it's not out yet, the Siri upgrade, I think that's going to be very interesting, especially with ChatGPT. Um, right now, I don't really. ChatGPT is moving kind of weird. They just added this NSA guy to their board, so that's always sus to say the least. But even the simple things like adding the calculator app to the iPad. We've talked about that, the iPad in great lengths in the past. So that's very interesting to see. I'm sure people would love to be in the grocery store, you know, budgeting right there on on the iPad. That's great. But overall, just everything. Everything was cool. What about you?
Yeah, man. I like what I'm seeing. One of my favorites was, or more interesting ones, I believe, were the passwords. So I think it's kind of cool how something that's lived in the settings of the iOS has become its own native app. It makes me want to dig through the settings to see what other settings or features are often visited by a lot of users that will eventually become its own native app on the phone. Definitely just something to predict like what could be the next native iPhone app. So passwords getting its own designated world to live in. I know we've discussed like password protecting programs, one password and Dropbox passwords in the past. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna even like use the passwords app, but I do know that it'll come in handy to a lot of people who rely on keeping everything in the Apple ecosystem. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Calculator app, like we mentioned in a previous episode. Uh, Odd that, like you said, like you let off with, just it's odd that that's not already a thing. But yeah, pretty cool stuff is coming their way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've talked about this. We talked about this off the broadcast in the past. Like something about Apple and their utility tools, their applications. I always end up back there. It doesn't matter what program that I use. Um, I always end up using notes, using reminder. You just kind of it's like a yearly thing. I guess in January you just I'm gonna use to do lists. I'm gonna use Asana. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and for some reason I always end up at back at Apple. I think the only thing that I don't do that with is Safari, which I need to rewatch and see if they had a bunch of Safari updates. But uh, literally every app I end up back using numbers. I'll use Keynote a lot. So I wonder what that is, and I wonder where do we just accept that? Just iCloud and those tools are just they're just great. They just work perfectly. So, um, yeah, man, the all these updates are great, and I look forward to really seeing what this ChatGPT thing looks like. AI is AI the new Bitcoin? I feel like everyone's talking about some type of AI thing. I don't even know what AI like what Apple. We kind of went past that. How they rebranded AI as Apple Intelligence, which is a very very interesting move.
It's almost as if like going forward, the only advancements that will be approached or taken seriously, you might as well replace the A in advancements with autonomous. Like it will be something with AI. That next leap, that next step for every fucking tech company in the space will have something to do with AI, or in that realm. Now, I think not to bring it back real quick to the native apps piece, I can relate to that as well. I found myself, I mean, how I've told you that Notion's been my go-to recently, and I've been using it to like log information about my daily life, habits tracker, weekly to-do list, stuff like that. But I still have the reminders app on my phone, and I find myself pulling that out like without even thinking about it to just write a quick to-do. So I think like that psychology piece, like the user of the phone will always, you know, whether they like it or not, revert back at some point to the native app. I think it runs better on the machine. It's built, for Apple device. And then also I think like the UI has a lot to do with it. I love how simple reminders looks, like I not I do like Notion, but I gotta open Notion. I gotta go to that certain page. It can be a little clunky sometimes, and also I don't like how you can't use it like without internet or service. It doesn't update. Like I don't like that you can't access it offline. So that's another piece. So like with Apple, just it all just syncs up from all your devices, and yeah. But back to the AI piece, that will be you know the headline for every tech company that's breaking out, whether it be AI, image sensories, picking up imagery better, or the with the Siri, voice recognition and understanding, like that level. It's gonna be something with AI, that'll be in the headline. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and speaking of headlines, of course, Adobe was in the headlines as well. About their AI features. Uh, you know, to get better, so their AI can get better. They will be spying on the consumers' content. That's pretty interesting. I'm kind of torn about how I feel about that. I don't know if it's actually spying or if it's everything can't be some like deeper, darker criminal link. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm torn. How do you feel about this story with Adobe?
yeah, so the security part is what I'm worried about now. I don't ever feel like I'm like designing something that I don't want anybody to see, like on some weird shit. Like, if Adobe wants to spy on me to make when I'm making some goat logos, and that's a double entendre, little inside baseball for you. If they want to sneak on me doing that, watch some design work, that's cool. But like, I don't, I'm not worried about like them seeing something that, I don't want them to see. I just think it's a matter of principle, and like them having that eye on what you're working on it just rubs you the wrong way, and they continue to do so. Another headline in today's news talking about that they're failing to clearly define the termination fees. What's that about?
Man, I would say Adobe, most gyms in the country have the hardest. It's like extremely hard to cancel. I don't know what the hell that is. Like, I don't know what that is. Um, some dark patterns with Adobe. Basically, the U.S. government is suing them over these practices not being very clear. Like when you go through the process, and it's kind of a known thing, a known hack. Like every 3 months, you kind of go through it. You try to cancel. They try to coerce you to stay with them, and you get like 90 days free, or you get it at a discounted rate. On top of that, I mean, there's not too many uh, competitors of the same quality you can go to, which is hard because so many tools are becoming. It's like an oversimplification, so you can't. It's almost when you're trained in design, uh, the oversimplification of tools low key make it harder to design. Therefore, you have to use Adobe. It's kind of weird. It's a weird monopoly. But yeah, the U.S. government is suing them over these practices, and I mean, hidden fees. You know, we're kind of privileged to that we have like a company subscription. I couldn't see myself paying $60 a month. Um, I tried for a little while, but yeah, I couldn't do it. But $60 a month—that's a lot of money. If you're not college. I remember myself like when my college email stopped working and I had to upgrade. That was a doozy. That was a hard week for me. But yeah, it's just too expensive. Then the transparency thing with the data, they're they're really on some weird shit, and I'm definitely I just don't know what's the fix or if there is a fix. Um, yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, it's definitely rubbed me the wrong way. But I also can't like not like just stop using their product, right? Like I've relied so heavily on specifically Photoshop and Illustrator to make a career for myself. So, I do it's some scummy stuff, I don't think it's right. And obviously they're getting sued. It makes me I'm curious because it's Adobe as the company and two of its executives. I'm curious how small of a maybe like an inside circle this was going on. Maybe like a few heads in the space or in the company knew about it. Secret backlinks, text boxes. That's like some real scummy stuff. So yeah, fuck them. It makes me want to, learn. I just downloaded Figma on my new computer, fucking around in it. Not that fluent in it yet. Still going back to Illustrator for my vector work, but it makes me want to. I think I can transition from Illustrator to Figma. Now, I don't think I can lose Photoshop. Now, I know we've discussed of some other options there. Have you tried or look to maybe are you even interested in leaving Photoshop ever?
Yeah, yeah. For me, I feel like in my where I'm at in my career, um, I'm more interested in uh, more like strategy and analytics and other aspects of the game. I don't really. It's like one of those things like I can get it done, and I think there's like Affinity. They have some apps that after this I'm actually going to download and just I kind of been putting it off for a while and just test those because the monthly thing is just it's just a lot. I do feel like we're I kind of feel like we're doing that thing our parents did when we were kids. I feel like our parents all like the world was always ending. It was always this catastrophic stuff happening, and you're like, everything will be okay, right? And I feel like that's kind of what this is. I think there. there will be other options, and people did design before Adobe existed, and I think exploring those type of options would be great. Working more with their hands, working more with printing, more strategy, more design thinking, more innovation will come. I don't think we as designers should be so dependent on Adobe products, because the reality, we only use maybe three at the most, right? Like, we only use Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign for the most part. The average designer out there, no one's actually. They may use Premiere Pro or After Effects. We use After Effects a lot, but do we really need to, right? Like, if you can lock down those three and you have some type of business acumen, you're good. So for me, I definitely could see myself stepping away from using Photoshop. Like, I'm not really interested in. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what I today would really use Photoshop for. Or if anything, the Photoshop Lightroom package that they have, I think is like $23. That's way better. I can see that. But yeah, I'm cool. Figma, Affinity apps, um, yeah, Apple native apps, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, I can see, a Photoshop style app coming from Apple, or a Canva style app. I'm sure I'm blanking on some options out there. They have stuff like Procreate, but I'm talking like an Apple iOS driven app. Eventually will be something like that. So come that day, we'll make the transition. So, but real quick on Photoshop, just question for you that I just thought of. So we're talking about these acts by Adobe that aren't right and just kind of under the radar, scummy stuff. You know, not I don't want to have you admit to any faults, but what's the most down bad thing that you've ever photoshopped? So I ask, I'll lead off. Uh, in school, remember like having to have like stuff signed all the time, like whether it be by a parent or a guardian or whatever. uh, Fuck. There was one time where, um, well, maybe I shouldn't say this one. I'll say another one. I was in a school and we had to turn in an assignment via email on Friday, and I had a trip to Dallas over the weekend, and I kind of blanked on the project and didn't get it done for Friday. Now, uh, the weekend happens, and Sunday night I realized my mistake. Monday morning rolls in, you know, I get addressed about it. What happened? Where is it at? So I screenshotted my web page, my email browser, and just replaced all the read receipts, the send dates, the dates, email subject line to show that I actually did send the assignment on time, and they just lost the email. And I used that screenshot as proof on Monday, and it saved me from getting a zero. I ended up getting like a B or something on it instead. So I would say, that was probably the most slimiest thing uh, that I would feel comfortable saying to the public. Yeah. What about yourself?
If that's slimy, bro, I'm man, I've done it all. I've done all the criminal acts, bro. I'm Robin Hood of design. I'm helping the people. I'm
That's
just
a
bro. I'm editing. I'm photoshopping the leases, the pay stubs. I'm I'm running amok. I'm doing all that. Everybody in wherever I was at was that was getting hooked up. It's hard times.
Oh
I
yeah.
I started in design bootlegging Adobe, so you know I've been on Pirates Bay. So man, I couldn't even tell you a specific story because I did them all. I've committed all the frauds,
The fake
uh,
COVID cards.
COVID cards, workers comp, checks. I've done it, literally done it all. Like literally, I don't even. I probably, if I did not know Photoshop and wasn't so proficient, I'd probably be homeless. The roof over my head right now, I probably needed to Photoshop something to even live here, for all I know. So, no, I've run amok, man. Golly, thank God for design.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
And for legal reasons, this was all a skit. Just
Yeah,
so
yeah,
everyone,
yeah,
yeah, we're this is a bit. This is all a bit.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, no, but that being said, like the other side of the token, I think like Photoshop is, I know we're kind of like scrutinizing Adobe for this act, but Photoshop has done so much for you and I, and we're talking about all these, uh, you know, not so good things that they could be used for, but there's also brought joy to a lot of people like in my life, like friends that hit me up to just like edit a photo that they want, like an item removed. This before the iPhone can do that shit, right? So like, and just like seeing their glee and like their appreciation just for something that took me so little time in Photoshop, just because I understand the product and the program and how to use the tool. So yeah, Photoshop a signature here and there. That's one thing. There's also like so much good that comes from it. So, may the day come that I part ways with Adobe Photoshop as my main runner. Let's see.
yeah, man. But speaking of AI and photoshopping and misinformation, fooling the people, there's I saw an article earlier today that talked about how AI images are misinforming the public, and it's on the rise. I'm sure they're talking about Facebook and whatever underground sites people use of just all these AI photos so good that people. I don't know if the photos are good or people just really they're not internet savvy. They don't have an eye. Like I can notice a AI photo like that, and yeah, it's a surge of misinformation. So it's very very interesting what later this year it's going to look like come November with all these misinformation. Have you seen a influx of that, or do you have friends or family that are affected by these images?
That's a good question. And I was just home with, some of my family members that are specifically on Facebook, like all the time. I'm not on Facebook myself, so I'm not sure if it's breached that platform. I can only assume so, right? Just because everything spills over. Now, I agree with you. I think I got a good eye on it now. I do think that it comes down to people being so lazy to not even put in the work to find out if something's real. They will take something for face value and just automatically believe it. Now, I do think like reading some of these examples, like the context manipulation. So, like screenshots of a computer screen or an iPhone, those components being manipulated. So, like, think about how easier it is or more convincing it is to see a screenshot of a text conversation with like, the message removed, or let's say something like Instagram where you can put like the profile photo, the at name, and replace the message. Like someone can probably get it looking just right, like as if it was real, right? Just because it's you do that shit in Figma, like
Yeah,
it's the assets are so available, and it's just it would be harder to pick up, is what I'm saying. Now, like as compared to a AI photo where you can look at the fucking their hands and they have like six fingers, like that stuff like should be to the common eye just easy to pick up on. Now, some people will look right over it, will look right over the 3 feet and all these like weird textures and all that. They'll just look right through it and still believe it. But I think like, you know, in terms of like screenshotting someone's message or someone's email that's they sent to this high up and then saying, oh, this person, was hating on him or this person insulted this person and just showing like text based evidence, people will take that and run with it. People will believe it because it looks real. So, yeah, people will fall victim to this scheme as we're seeing. It's just, yeah, it's scary that the balance between or the relation between laziness and ignorance and just AI alteration. So,
Yeah, yeah. A colleague of ours, we were talking earlier today about this same topic and how, uh, in the past, I don't know if people have picked up on this. I'm very much about design ethics, and a lot of times here in the U.S., we don't really see the bigger picture of how things affect us, like the work we do. And me and this colleague were talking about how over in Indonesia and other South Asian countries, this AI, people are using it to fake dead people, dead relatives, political figures. And I think if we think back to, I remember when Trump got indicted or something like that, they had photos of him like running from the police. And for like a good hour or 2 hours online, people thought this was like a real thing. They thought he was really going down. He really had mug shots and all this stuff. Of course, this was all fake. And I think things like that, we think back to the previous elections with Cambridge Analytica, misinformation on Facebook that essentially compromised the election. Now they have text and video and images at their disposal to paint whatever narrative that's needed. I think that it's going to be it's going to be very very hard in the future. I think we're definitely going to have to continue to build that reference library that we talk about all the time and connect more in person. You see it with these damn running clubs, right? Like people are dying for authentic human connection, and I think probably in the next, I don't want to say the next 5 years or 10, maybe 10 years or so, the internet is going to have to make a complete shift from what it is right now. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, man. Well said. I really like the call out on the when you talk about politics, things can get a little wishy washy and all that, but everything you said, I think, is valid and definitely something to be aware of. You know, I do recall that exact moment or the couple hours when those photos dropped and the shock effect and the immediate belief, from the human race based off a fake photo, and that won't be the last time that we see that something like that happen. Now I do hope that from the lifespan of AI imagery as it progresses, I do hope that we see some growth on the human side, like in terms of understanding and awareness. I do think like those those characteristics and just parts of us of how our brain works, they need to be strengthened because AI is a battle that will never never go away. It's going to be here, for the rest of our lives, the rest of our kids lives. So it'll always be something to be cautious of and to be above, mind over matter. Just know what's true, what's not true. um, and yes, hopefully, as we progress, we as humans build tools to somewhat counter the you know, I don't want to say violence, but the curse or what could be of the AI revolution. Now we'll see what that looks like as we grow and live on in today's digital world. But yeah, what it comes down to is just people fucking paying attention and giving things time and giving things actual just research and looking into things, not believing things off 3 seconds or 6 seconds of a fucking Instagram reel or whatever it may be. Probably it'll probably be on Twitter's full of AI stuff. AI or Instagram probably has some regulations on that because I believe I've seen more fake or altered content on Twitter or X now rather than Instagram, but they're all the same shit. So everything's everywhere. So yeah, just triple check everything. Don't jump the gun on believing something you see right away, especially if it's a photo that you definitely believe like can't be real. Just like I don't know, trust your gut. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, but even some of these photos, some of this misinformation is not even about whether or not it's real or fake, or is really about provoking a certain emotion. Like you see in the UK with migrants coming into more European countries, doing the old German Nazi Germany propaganda as if it's going to be all these migrants, doing this King Kong type take over the women type thing, right? So using it in just propaganda like that. Or I saw one the other day where it was a flatbed truck with it looked like 300 U.S. soldiers on it, and they're all holding these U.S. flags going down the street. And it's like, how in the fuck is this many soldiers standing on the back of an 18 wheeler? But that does something to people. It's like, yeah, America, and it's like, this is not. It's provoking a certain emotion in people who are already insanely emotionally invested in something that they really shouldn't be. Because it's not even about whether you're left or right, Democrat or Republican at this point. It's they're literally merging into the same thing and using the same insidious tactics to you know bring us really to fascism. That's you know as more countries kind of push back, what ends up happening is we kind of turn inward with our control. So when you can't control everybody else, you come home and then you want to control everyone in your house, right? So I think it's very important what you're saying, that we have to definitely be more vigilant and not allow this imagery to, uh, you know, uh, you know, uh, I don't, I got something I want to say. I don't want to say it, but bro, it's been this misinformation. It's like across this whole internet. We reference the Matrix a lot, but it's like we're there. It's like the internet is like a whole apparatus at this point of the government. Think about it. Like I remember a couple of years ago, everyone had the fake skits, like the fake skits about just these insane situations. I remember the one, the father only bought one kid McDonald's and didn't buy all the other kids McDonald's, and that was like a thing. I remember hearing it on the radio driving to the office, a debate about should this father buy all the kids McDonald's or only his kid. So like shit like that, and the images, everything that's weird with the WNBA right now. I don't want to get into sports talk on this platform, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much misinformation. The only thing left is to literally, everyone here in the audience, read a book. Read, beloved. You gotta read. You have to read. Close the computer. Not yet. Don't close it now. We're gonna do a outro. Then pick up a book. That's a must. You gotta pick up a book.
Love that. All right, well, that'll do it for today. Like Melton said, we're gonna wrap this one up. We appreciate everyone for stopping by. Another brick on the wall. Another day is done. Another episode is uploaded. So
Yep.
we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Brick Talk every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We appreciate you all for listening. Now go read a book.
Yep. Go read a book. Hit us up and go read a book.
Hit us up. Go read a book.
Get that brand right. Get your mind right. Peace.